Welcome to this evening's Sovereign Systems Institute ministry with Pastor David. Let's open our ministry. We gather as sovereign beings under the lawful design of life encoded within each of us. In this sacred space of the Sovereign Systems Institute, we pause to recognize our jurisdiction, our capacity, and our contract with the natural order. May our words and decisions align with the resiliency code and generate sovereign wealth for ourselves and all who will follow the resilient path. Tonight, we're talking about the connection field, specifically the architecture of right relationship. Not relationships in general, not how to get along with people, not networking strategies or communication techniques. We're talking about the structural difference between connections that build capacity, your capacity, and others, and connections that actually drain your capacity and the capacity of others. Because here's what most people don't understand. Proximity, being close to people, is not connection. Familiarity is not right relationship. And tolerating someone's presence in your life does not mean that relationship is serving your capacity across all 9 fields. Let me be clear about something up front. Connection field isn't about having more relationships. It's about having the right relationships. Quality over quantity isn't just a nice saying. It's structural reality. One right relationship can expand your capacity across every field. One wrong relationship can hemorrhage capacity you spent years building. And most people have no idea how to tell the difference until the damage is already done. Here's the pattern I see constantly. People confuse longevity with legitimacy. I've known them for 20 years. They've always been in my life. We grew up together. History doesn't equal healthy structure. A relationship that's been extracting your capacity for 20 years is worse than one that's been extracting for 2. Because you've lost 2 decades of generative potential tolerating something that should have been restructured or severed 15 years ago. Right relationship has architecture. It has structure. It has recognizable characteristics that you can measure. And the first characteristic is this. Right relationship expands capacity in both directions. Not just yours, not just theirs, both. If you're constantly giving and they're constantly taking, that's not right relationship. That's extraction with a smile. If they're constantly supporting you and you're bringing nothing to the table, that's not right relationship either. That's dependency dressed up as friendship. Right relationship means both people are generating capacity and both people are receiving capacity. The flow moves both ways. And if it doesn't, you don't have a connection problem. You have a structural problem that needs addressing. Let me give you a real example from my own life. Years ago, I had a business relationship with someone I considered a friend. We'd worked together on multiple projects. We had history. We had shared success. But over time, I started noticing a pattern. Every conversation was about their problems. Every meeting was about their needs. Every collaboration required me to carry more weight than the structure could sustain. I told myself, that's just who they are and how they are. We've been working together for years. I can handle it. I can manage it. What I was actually doing was confusing history with health. I was tolerating extraction because longevity made me feel obligated. I finally ran the numbers, not emotionally, structurally. What capacity was this relationship generating? What capacity was it consuming? The math was brutal. That relationship was bleeding my creative field, my vocation field, my resources field, and my emotional field dry. I restructured it. I set clear boundaries. Some relationships improved, some ended. And within 6 months, my capacity across every field expanded exponentially. Not because I cut people off, but because I stopped tolerating extraction and started building the right relationships. Here's the second characteristic of right relationship: clarity over comfort. Most people prioritize comfort in their relationships. They don't want conflict. They don't want difficult conversations. They don't want to rock the boat. So they tolerate misalignment. They accept unclear expectations. They operate in ambiguity because addressing it feels uncomfortable. And that ambiguity becomes a slow leak that drains capacity over years. Right relationship requires clarity, clear expectations, clear boundaries, clear communication about what's working and what's not. That's uncomfortable. Most people hate it. But here's what they miss: temporary discomfort now prevents catastrophic collapse later. The difficult conversation you avoid today becomes the relationship explosion that costs you 6 months of capacity tomorrow. Clarity isn't cruel. Clarity is actually kind, because it gives both people that are connected the information they need to decide if the relationship serves their capacity or drains it. The third characteristic: right relationship respects jurisdiction. Every person has their own domain, their own capacity, their own fields they're responsible for stewarding. Right relationship means you don't cross into someone else's jurisdiction uninvited, and you don't let them cross into yours. You don't fix their problems. You don't rescue them from consequences. You don't take responsibility for their emotional regulation, their financial decisions, or their life choices. And you don't let them do that for you either. This confuses people because they've been taught that love means sacrifice, that friendship means putting others first, that good relationships require you to carry other people's burdens. That's not right relationship. That's codependency dressed up as virtue. Right relationship says, I steward my fields, you steward yours. We support each other without crossing jurisdiction. I can offer perspective. I can provide resources. I can stand with you while you do the work. But I don't do your work for you, and I don't let you do mine. The fourth characteristic: right relationship aligns across fields, not just one. Most people evaluate relationships based on one dimension. Oh, they're fun to be around. That's the emotional field. They help me professionally. That's vocation field. We have great intellectual conversations. That's the intellectual field. But right relationship doesn't just align one field. It aligns across multiple fields simultaneously. If someone expands your intellectual field but drains your emotional field, that's not right relationship. That's a trade-off you're tolerating. If someone supports your vocational field but undermines your faith field, that's extraction in disguise. Right relationship means the connection strengthens multiple fields at once. You leave interactions with them feeling more capable physically, more regulated emotionally, sharper intellectually, more creative, better connected, and clearer vocationally. If you consistently leave interactions feeling drained, confused, or diminished, that relationship is out of alignment. And there's no amount of history, comfort, or convenience that justifies keeping it. Now, here's where this gets difficult, because sometimes the relationships that are most out of alignment are the ones closest to you: family, long-term friends, business partners, spouses. And people panic when they realize this because they think the only option is severance. It's not. Right relationship doesn't always mean ending the relationship. Sometimes it means restructuring it. You set clearer boundaries. You adjust expectations. You change the level of access someone has to your capacity. I'm not saying cut your family off. I'm saying stop letting them drain your resources field every month because you feel obligated. I'm not saying abandon your friends. I'm saying stop tolerating conversations that leave you feeling worse than when they started. I'm not saying leave your spouse. I'm saying address the jurisdictional violations before they destroy the foundation that you built together, especially if you have children. Right relationship requires honest assessment and structural adjustment, not emotional reaction or categorical severance. The fifth characteristic: right relationship generates forward momentum. If a relationship keeps you stuck in the same patterns, rehashing the same conflicts, circling the same problems year after year, that's not connection. That's a loop. Right relationship moves both people forward. You're not the same person you were a year ago because that connection challenged you, supported you, and helped you build capacity you didn't have before. They're not the same person they were a year ago because you did the same for them. If you look at a relationship and realize nothing's changed in 5 years, you don't have right relationship. You have comfortable stagnation. And comfortable stagnation is still stagnation. Here's what most people miss about the connection field: it's not static, it requires maintenance. Right relationship today doesn't guarantee right relationship tomorrow. People change, circumstances change, capacity changes. A relationship that served you 5 years ago might be extracting from you now. A relationship that was neutral 3 years ago might be generative today. You have to assess regularly, not emotionally, structurally. Is this connection expanding capacity or draining it? Is it aligned across my fields or is it misaligned? Does it respect jurisdiction or violate it? Does it generate momentum or keep me stuck? If the answer to that question is extraction, misalignment, violation, or stagnation, you restructure or you sever. Not out of anger, not out of judgment, out of stewardship. Because your capacity is not unlimited. Your time is not unlimited. Your energy is not unlimited. And every hour you spend in wrong relationship is an hour you're not spending in right relationship. Let me tell you what happens when you get this right. When you build connection field with structural integrity, everything changes. Your physical field stabilizes because you're not hemorrhaging energy managing toxic relationships. Your emotional field regulates because you're surrounded by people who respect your boundaries. Your intellectual field sharpens because you're engaging with people who challenge your thinking instead of draining your attention. Your creative field activates because you're building with people who generate instead of extract. Your vocation field expands because your collaborations are aligned instead of adversarial. Your environment field improves because the spaces you occupy with right relationships feel generative instead of exhausting. Your resources field flows because you're not constantly bleeding capacity, trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed. Your faith field deepens because you're surrounded by people who honor the same principles you do. Right relationship isn't just about feeling good. It's about building a network of connections that reinforces every other field in your life. So here's how you navigate this. Here's the resilient path through the connection field. Pause. Assess honestly. Look at your relationships structurally, not emotionally. Which ones expand your capacity? Which ones drain it? Which ones are aligned across all your fields? Which ones are misaligned? Don't justify, don't make excuses, don't confuse history with health. Just look at the data, prepare, set boundaries, and clarify expectations. If a relationship is worth keeping, restructure it. Have the difficult conversation. Establish clear boundaries. Communicate expectations. If a relationship isn't worth keeping, prepare to sever it cleanly, not out of anger, out of stewardship. Participate. Build right relationship intentionally. Invest in connections that expand your capacity and theirs. Deepen relationships that align across fields. Engage with people who respect jurisdiction and generate momentum. Make your expectations crystal clear and let the wrong relationships go. The world will tell you that cutting off people is cruel, that good people tolerate difficult relationships, that loyalty means staying no matter what. That's extraction theology. That's the VVH loop telling you that suffering is virtue. It's not. Stewardship means protecting your capacity so you can build what you're called to build. And sometimes that means letting go of relationships that are draining what you've worked years to establish. Collapse is optional, but only if your connection field is built with right relationship instead of tolerated extraction. Assess structurally, restructure intentionally. Build with people who expand your capacity instead of consuming it. That's the architecture of right relationship. I'm going to close our ministry for the evening. Having prepared through this fellowship, we return to participate from our individual sovereignty, carrying the coherence generated here into our respective fields, in service to the lawful design of life and the continuation of this work. Grateful for you being here this evening. Take care. See you next week.